Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Yes, Mataji.
Yeah, I've just started the move, so it'll take me about 2 hours. I will be there to end the call. Okay?
Sure. I already started the live.
Yeah, and also I won't be there for co-host, spotlight, whatever, right? You're the host, right?
I will do everything. Only ending the call is needed. That's it.
Yeah, I'll take it. Yeah, Haribol.
Yeah, Haribol. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय. शीला प्रभुपाद की जय. Assembled devotees की जय. Hare Krishna. Thank you everyone for joining today's Bhakti Sangha conference call. May I know who all joined this morning?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandvat Pranam, all glory to Srila Prabhupada. This is Neetu from Baltimore.
Hare Krishna, Neetu Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you Mataji for joining every single day and giving your sweet association. Welcome to the call.
Hare Krishna, Vanita Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. Jai Shri Prabhupada, this is Preeti Vilasni Devidasi from Atlanta. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Preeti Vilasni Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much Mataji for joining and giving your sweet association. Even though you are very busy, welcome to the call. We can wait for Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisance. Sister is joining from San Antonio.
Hare Krishna, Sheshidhar Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much Prabhu for joining and giving your association. Welcome to the call.
This is Bala Vrinda.
Hare Krishna Bala Vrinda, welcome to the call. Thank you for joining in. Okay, we can wait for Prabhuji. Usually Prabhuji joins. Yesterday was Rath Yatra everywhere. So I think all of them are very busy with Rath Yatra. Yeah, Prabhuji is there. Yeah, we will start the recording. Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome to Bhakti Sangha conference call. We'll start the class with the Srila Prabhupada's quote. June 21st. A spiritual master is always liberated in any condition of his life. He should not be mistaken as an ordinary human being. This position of a spiritual master is achieved by 3 processes. Sadhana Siddha, one who is liberated by executing the regulative principles of devotional service. Kripa Siddha, one who is liberated by the mercy of Krishna or his devotees. Nitya Siddha, one who is never forgetful of Krishna throughout his whole life. These are the three futures of perfection of life. Letter to Tamal Krishna, June 21st, 1970. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All the Guru Varga ki jai. So today we are very fortunate to have His Grace Radha Pramod Prabhu to enlighten us on the topic of Sri Caitanya Bhagavata Madhya Khanda, chapter 1, 332 verse starting from to 335. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhu,
Humble obeisances, Mataji. Humble to
joining, for joining and giving your recitation, Prabhu. We are very grateful to you. I don't see you on video, Prabhu, today.
Some issues with video. I'll just on it a second. Mataji, can you share the screen for the shloka, because I have some issues with my laptop.
Sure, Prabhuji, I can share. You start with the prayers. Meanwhile, I'll keep ready for the verses, Prabhu.
Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Jnanatirmirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Caitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sakrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parjana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitanscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Pancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Gapa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna. So we are reading from Caitanya Bhagavata Madhya Khanda, first chapter, text 222 till we'll be reading to 35. So this is the section where Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, after reading from Gaya, is instructing his students, but now all the syllabus changed. India also there is a big issues. They're changing the syllabus for the school and colleges. Some syllabus they are changing, but Lord Chaitanya, he did not change a little bit. He changed everything in the syllabus. There is only one subject that to be discussed. That is only Krishna. So his syllabus has completely changed. If that is given now, it will be a big political issue. Lord Chaitanya's time also it happened. It happened in Lord Chaitanya's time also, and it is happening now. So I'm sorry, where is
You can't see the screen, Prabhu. What happened?
you are able to see the screen, na?
Yes, yes, yes. No, you are saying something happened, so I was thinking.
Means I somehow my settings changed. I'm trying. Yes, I got it.
So now you can share the screen, Prabhu, or can I continue sharing? What?
No, you only have to share.
Okay, okay, Prabhu. Okay.
Yes. So here, this is a very actually the discussion of today's topic is completely different. Even though these are the instructions Lord Chaitanya is giving, but the purport we had very important. So we'll go to the shlokas and just read the translation. Phala Nisha Sarva Padyara Gana Ashraya Vasila. I'll read from my text here. So, Falaina Nasha Sarva Pradyura Gana Asiya Vishaya Punita Krite Chaitanya. After that night passed, all the students came and sat down with their books to study. You can change to the next verse, Mata, I'll be reading. Takuraila Jatakari Ganga Snana Vashiya Karena Prabhu Pustaka Vakhyana. The Lord quickly returned from his bath in the Ganges, and after taking his seat, began to explain the text. Prabhurana spure Krishna vyadiregan ana sabha matra Krishna bhakti karena vyakhyana. The Lord's explanation did not deal with anything that was not related to Krishna. He explained every word in relation to Krishna's devotional service. Commentary. Gaurasundara explained every word through the completely spiritual, perfectly pure, eternally liberated, and most important, Vivida Rudhi, as being related to devotional service with his tongue that was attached to glorifying Krishna. He would not explain any word as having a meaning not related to Krishna. Pradya sakala vale dhauta smajakari Prabhu bale Sri Krishnera Shakti Namyayera Namayara. The students inquired, what is the definition of dhatu or verbal root? The Lord replied, that which is called Krishna's energy. Commentary. In answer to the students' question, the Lord said, since Krishna's para, antaranga or swarupa shakti manifests Krishna's ayudhyara, madhya and aishwarya, spiritual pastimes, the energy and the energetic are thus inseparably related to each other. Similarly, when the words are derived by grammatical construction, the original root form of each such expensive word manifests within itself an inseparably joined meaning or potency of expression. Honestly, I also didn't understand so much on this. I will not comment on this. I am not very grammatically very good, and this is very, very technical also. But I will just read one more time for you to understand. Maybe we can understand something. In answer to students' question, the Lord said, since Krishna's para, that is Antaranga and Swarupa, Shakti manifests Krishna's Audharya, Madhurya, and Aishwarya, spiritual pastimes. The energy and the energetic are thus inseparably related to each other. So till now it is very clear that Krishna and Krishna's energy are inseparable. Is Audharya, Madhurya and Aishwarya. They are the spiritual past tense. The energy and energetic are thus inseparably related. Similarly, when the words are derived by grammatical construction, the original root form of each such expressive word manifests within itself an inseparable joined meaning or potency of expression. What I understand is like there are some roots with which words are created, the dhatus, and to which everything is connected. That words are connected to the dhatus. Similarly, what here it is meant is all the words are connected to Krishna only. Because when the students are asking what is the verb root, then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is telling that which is called Krishna's energy. So even the words are connected to the roots, and the roots are Krishna only, because the root is from Krishna. That is the point. So here it is heavy rain. So in case if power, there is a possibility of power cut, but we hope and pray that it does not happen till our end of this. If it happens, then there will be some 1-2 minutes break till I get connected again. So please, I'm informing ahead. So today it is raining and there was power. And then Dhatu Srutra Vyakhyani Sunaha Bhai Gana Dekhi Kara Sakti Ache Kauruka Kandana. Oh brothers, listen as I explain the aphorisms about dhatus. I would like to see who has the power to refute my explanation. So this explanation Lord is giving, and he's challenging also. He is telling that this is the way you need to understand the root of everything. Yata dekhi rajadvaya diva kalevara khanda bhoshita ganda chandana sundara. He says that as the kings we have seen had luxurious bodies decorated with gold and beautified with fragrant sandalwood paste. Now he's giving this analogy. He's telling how the king's body is so beautiful, decorated with gold and all this sandalwood paste and everything. Yama Lakshmi Yanbha Vachane Lokakaya Dhatu Vina Shunatara Ye Avashtahaya. Although their words determine a person's prosperity or death, here what happens to them when their dhatu leaves their bodies. So what Lord Chaitanya is trying to explain is the root is what is the essence of it, and that essence is Krishna. That's why we need to understand essence of everything is Krishna. Now if any word, now whatever words that are coming from us, the root and the essence is Krishna only for it. It is a very grammatical technical, but this is a very nice point what Lord makes. And in the commentary we hear Yamaraj, Yama is the predominating deity of religion or Dharmaraj. Lakshmi is the predominating deity of wealth, opulence, beauty and prosperity. The word Vachane refers to the display of mercy or compassion. The word dhatu means in this case not verbal root but life air, life consciousness. So in this case in the sense means here when it is referring to the king. So in this analogy of the king, although the words determine the person's prosperity here, what happens when their dhatu leaves their body? That means when the soul leaves their body, that means life air leaves, consciousness or the fragmental part of Krishna's spiritual energy. So this is the point of discussion. So when the soul leaves the body, what will happen? Kotayaya sarva gnera sundhara challiye kare bhasma kare kare dana puditya. No one knows where the beauty of their body limbs goes, as some bodies are burnt and some are buried. This is actually what happens. Now this is the main point of discussion, but the purport comes in the next verses also. Now when this important dhatu leaves, that means the soul leaves, the life air leaves the body, then all the beauty is lost. Now people are so much attracted to very, very handsome and beautiful looking personalities. But when they die, they may be very young. So say they may be in 20s or 20s, and they're so attractive. Now when they die, nobody want to keep their body. They will bury it or burn it. Why? The beauty is lost. The essence is lost. So this next few shlokas explain about it in a very detailed, and of course very nicely explained about it. Text 30 to 34. सर्वदेह धातुरूपे वस्ये कृष्ण शक्ति तारासने करे स्नेहा ताहाने से भक्ति ब्रह्मवसी अध्यापक न बुझेह हानाया बहि सब बीजमन दिया ये भयेन्द्र नमस्कारी करीमन यज्ञन धातु गेला तांड्रे पर परिशीला करीसना ये भापेरा कोले पुत्र ठाके महासुखे धातु गेला से पुत्र अग्नि देह मुखे धातु स्मंज कृष्ण शक्ति वल्लभ सबरा देखा दुष्क ऐचे शक्ति कर. This is a very nice shloka. This is our point of today's topic of discussion also. Please try to hear attentively. The energy of Krishna dwells in the body of every living entity as the dhatu or active principle. All affection and devotion is meant for him alone. Because of illusion, teachers cannot understand this. Yet, consider carefully whether I am right or wrong. There are persons to whom we now offer obeisances and respect. But when the active principle leaves their body, we must take bath after touching them. The son who was happily nourished on the lap of his father touches the fire of cremation to the mouth of his father after the active principle leaves him. That which is called dhatu is the power of Krishna, the beloved of all. Is there anyone who can deny this? So this is a very nice way Lord Chaitanya is trying to explain how the essence of everything is Krishna. When the essence leaves, that item does not exist only. In the sense, it loses all its credibility. And he gives very nice analogy, like about a king. He's having such a beautiful body, everything is done. When dhatu leaves, put in the fire. Another he gives this another an example. He's telling that this once it leaves, the son who was nourished, he puts fire in it. You touch it, you have to take bath. For an explanation of this verse 330 and the first line of the verse 334, one should refer to Adi Khanda chapter 7 verse 54-55. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 10, 14, 50 to 57, Sri Sukadeva Goswami speaks to Maharaj Parikshit as follows. O king, for every created being, the dearmost thing is certainly his own self. The dearness of everything else, children, wealth, and so on, is due only to the dearness of the self. For this reason, O best of the kings, the embodied soul is self-centered. He is most attached to his own body and self than his so-called possessions like children, wealth, and home. Indeed, for persons who think the body is the self, O best of the king, who thinks whose importance lies only in their relationship to the body, are never as dear as the body itself. If a person comes to the stage of considering the body mine. Instead of me, he will certainly not consider the body as dear as his own self. After all, even as the body is growing old and useless, one's desire to continue living remains strong. Therefore, it is his own self that is most dear to every embodied living being, and it is simply for the satisfaction of the self that the whole material creation of moving and non-moving entities exist. You should know Krishna to be the original soul of all living entities. For the benefit of the whole universe, he has, out of his causeless mercy, appeared as an ordinary human being. He has done this by the strength of his internal potency. Those in this world who understand Lord Krishna as he is, sees all things, whether stationary or moving, as manifested forms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such enlightened persons recognizes no reality apart from the Supreme Lord Krishna. The original unmanifested form of material nature is the source of all material things and the source of all that. The subtle material nature is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. What then could one ascertain to be separate from him? So this is a very nice explanation. We will try to discuss on this a little bit. Hope will some important things. Of course, this I speak many times, but somehow I get all the time same topic, or maybe I wherever I speak, I connect to the same topic. I don't know how it happens. Like there was this one saying in our local language, like one boy, he knows only one essay. He knows the essay on cow, and whatever essay he is told to write, he will write only one essay. What he does, if you say, okay, write about, you write an essay on an aeroplane, then he says, oh, I was traveling in an aeroplane. From an aeroplane, I was looking down, and there was green grass, and cow is eating a grass. And then he start continuing with the cow. Cow has 4 legs. Cow gives milk. Cow is white in color. Cow has many colors. Cow has tail. And he continues writing everything on cow. So any topic you give, you will connect it to cow and write an essay. Similarly, any topic I get, somehow it is connected to this about soul and mind. So either I connect it or I speak on it. So we'll try to discuss, and this is a very nice discussion, a very nice point. What it is told is that the soul is very dear to all of us. Why it is dear? Because it is connected to Krishna. Looking for every created being, the dearmost thing is certainly his own self. And why it is the dearness of everything else, children, wealth, and so on, is due only to the dearness of the self. For this reason, O best of the king, the embodiment soul is self-centered. He is most attractive to his own body and self than his so-called possessions. That means first we all love ourselves first. We love anything connected to us. Now, when the child is born, because he feels that this is my child, that's why he become attached. Otherwise, there is no possibility of getting attachment. First, what happens is when the Lord, he gives the living entities, and then he thought, okay, living entity want to enjoy. So first thing he gives is, he gives mind. Because this is the way we can enjoy in this material world. He gives mind. The soul is there, but it has a desire to enjoy. Now how? First is give him mind. And then, but it is not sufficient. No? Somebody should, then he gives ability to speak. This is a way we express our enjoyment. Now, but there should be somebody else also to glorify us. I just speak about myself is not sufficient. Then he gives wife because she will glory or this female factor. And then he gives ears because we want to hear our glories. And then other things are also given slowly. So basically all these things are given so that our desire to enjoy continues. Now because these objects give our desire, we get attached to that. Whatever gives us pleasure, there is an attachment to that object. This is how the system is created. And now the soul want to enjoy. It is very dear to us. But who is giving pleasure to the soul? The pleasure to the soul is derived from all these presently with our senses. We have 11 senses with mind, 10 senses with mind, total 11. Karmendriyas and Gyanendriyas. Now these, they provide a certain amount of pleasure to the mind with all these things. If any of them had any defect, then we'll not be able to achieve that pleasure. Like if somebody has only one leg, the pleasure which he derives reduces. He will not be able to walk, run fast, everything. This is actually what happens. And now the soul derives pleasure from the senses and the mind, which helps together to derive pleasure. As soon as we get pleasure, we get attached to that objects. So this is in a very gross way. 10 senses and mind, the relation to them. A sansparshaja bhoga. As soon as senses come in contact with sense objects, there is bhoga, there is pleasure. And then after enjoying in this level, then there is a more subtler level of enjoyment, which comes in relationships or which comes in ego. Anything that gives pleasure, we develop attachment. Second level is, then there is ego that gives much more pleasure. Now the child is born. First is wife. Because you get identify with a wife, then you say, yes, my wife. So you get pleasure from it. And then the combination, there is a child is born. And what happens now? As soon as the child is born, there is a strong ego that becomes attached. My child. If there is no, then nobody will take care of children in this world. But somehow Lord made this arrangement. My child. So as soon as that ego get attached, then he start deriving pleasure. Otherwise, there is no pleasure. Without attachment, we cannot be happy. Unless a person is attached to the child, you cannot be happy. Because like we go to some school program, there are hundreds and thousands of children, but we don't get same pleasure. Like a mother comes, she sees her child, she gets pleasure. Why? Because there is attachment. So the pleasure in this world is through attachment only, in one way. This material pleasure is through attachment. Of course, spiritual pleasure is detachment, that is different. But material pleasure is through attachment. First is with senses, and in a subtle level it is attachment. And why that is attachment? How it happens is because of this false ego. Anything that gives pleasure to the soul will say mine. So how the information comes, this I have explained also previously. You can remember this. First, the information, the senses gives the information about the object to chitta. You are seeing the form of your child. Then the senses will see that form. Eyes are seeing, and the ears are hearing the voice from him. Immediately, the information goes to chitta. It happens in so fractions and fractions of seconds, such a small time that we cannot know only. And then, as soon as it goes, then the chitta will search all the files and says, yes, your child, your wife, your house. Then what happens? That information goes to manas, where the emotions are there. My house, my child, and there are always plus minus signs there. It immediately derives some emotions of positive or negative based on if you are seeing enemy or if you are seeing friend, if you are seeing your son and all. And as soon as there is a positive emotion, immediately ego says, I need it. It is mine. So this type of connection comes. And then remaining things are different. So this ego is actually what is holding us to this material world, and it strongly holds. And Prabhupada is writing here, interestingly, says that, O best of the king, the embodied soul is self-centered. He is more attached to his own body and self than his so-called possessions like children, wealth, and home. Indeed, for persons who think the body is the self, or best of the king, those things whose importance lies only in their relationship to the body are never as dear as the body itself. That means the most dearest thing for a person is the body. After that, only any other thing. First, my body. Sometimes people sacrifice their body for beloved ones, but that is also in a settler false ego only. He don't understand, that's why he's thinking I am doing sacrifice, but it's actually the identification with ego. Prabhupada gives the example when a monkey was drowning, it was overflowing, water was overflowing, and it has a small child. So it took the child and kept on his head, so that it was actually in a small tree, and that water was coming up and it was drowning, the tree was drowning. Then slowly the water came till the head of the monkey. Then the monkey took the child, kept under his feet, climbed on it and jumped and went to a safe place. Now it's very tragic story, but the point is what, for us the most dearest thing is our body, because it is more very close to the soul. And then that's why Prabhupada, when it comes to the stage of considering the body is mine instead of me, he will certainly not consider the body as dear as his own self. After all, even as the body is growing old and useless, one's desire to continue living remains stronger. And this is an example of Dhritarashtra. In that also Prabhupada explained. And what happens is, a person, when he is so much attached to something and is living, it becomes very difficult to live. Anyway, I will come to some story. I will not tell so much of philosophy in this. When people, when they are getting older and older, then the fear starts coming. And I have seen practically also old people who are becoming fearful. In my relatives also I have seen. And they were getting fear. I'm losing something. If they have not prepared, then it becomes very difficult. Very difficult for them to accept that, oh, this is no more for me. I'm not going to have it anymore. This body, which we have taken care of for so long, it's actually investment is done so much in that. So then it becomes very difficult when leaving the stage. And this is this is the situation of all the materialistic people. They have not done the homework in this direction. They have only spent the body to enjoy, and that is also having limitations in the body, and becomes very difficult. Like uh, in the shastras, everybody at a certain age they leave the home and go to the forest. This is a common story. Where all the Bhagavatam you'll see, and even Puranas also you see this story. At a certain age, person is leaving home and going to the forest, because they understand that this is what is to be done. We cannot be attached to the body anymore after some, and especially with especially uh, they have properly lived, and this is, and but it is not just theory only for us. We are not the body, spirit, soul is theory. That's actually theory for Arjuna. Second chapter, if you see, when Arjuna was told this second chapter from 11th to 30th shlokas, and Arjuna looks at Krishna and says, so what? Not the body, spirit, soul. What should be done? Krishna says, no problem. You practice. What you practice Nishkam Karma Yoga. Then you'll understand one day that you are not the body, spirit, soul. If we are not getting this realization gradually, that means we are missing some point. We should naturally feel that detachment. And it happens if somebody is living very properly. If he is living in a very pious life, the detachment is natural for him. Only impious people, for them it is very difficult for detachment. And then that they feel, okay, let me live for 2 more days. Even though they are having a chronic disease and they are dying, they feel that maybe if I can live for 2 more days, it will be nice. 3 more days, it will be nice. And I'll become very energetic and I will jump like a young deer or young goat. I'll be very enthusiastic and jumping. which is not possible, but they cannot accept it. I have seen, and the people who are related to it, my grandmother, one of my grandmothers. So when my grandfather was ill and the doctor said, no more, just 1-2 days he will live. That time I was there at the hospital. I went, and then then she was thinking, no, we'll take to home and he will be all right and nothing will happen to him. We'll take home, and they took home also because doctor said no chance you take home, and they kept the mission. Mahamantra. I gave a Hare Krishna Mahamantra, but he did not live very pious life. He did some mistakes. And they kept some other mantra. And next day I went again. He left body. I said, you are playing Prabhupada mantra? They said, no, we changed it. I said, yeah, very unfortunate fellow. So this is, she was hoping, and no, he was also maybe hoping that I'll live. And many people hope like that. But some people, they when they are dying, they have this confession, 5 confessions, very famous confessions of a dying people to the sisters, because in the West now they don't have their loved ones, so they did. So one of the confessions, they first confession is they feel that we could have lived a better life, uh, more better life in the sense more meaningful life, instead of just enjoying like this. We could have lived a more meaningful life. And second thing they have problem is we could have had much more deeper relationship in the West. This is another problem. In India also now it is happening very so much. There are no deeper relations because of everybody has mobile in their hands. So previously I remember I used to call my friends and talk for a long time. But now to call anybody, I had to think whether this fellow will be busy. And busy with what? Busy with their mobiles and watching something, social media and all. This messages are sent, but talk is very less. And this is the depth of relation is not there. Whatever relation I had from childhood, they are the only thing that is continuing more than the present one. Maybe it's not with everyone, but it is for me like that only. I have devotee friends, very few, who are very close. With them we talk, but it is not so much like previous. Somehow because of social media, it is happening like that. And then what happens is, this is the confessions they made, that we could have lived, our relationship could have been better, we could have lived a more meaningful life. So this is actually what happens if somebody is a sober. But for some people, they feel no, we want to live for more. So now, how to get this realization? I'll come to the solution part anyway. So thereby, it is his own self that is most dear to every embodied living beings. Why it is more dear? Because it is closer to Krishna. The super soul is there. As such, we all love the Lord only. But it is so close to the Lord, the soul, we misidentify that love, and we start enjoying in this material world. We start loving our soul, and then the soul is identifying falsely with this material world, and we are trying to enjoy the things here. And how to get that realization, this I have discussed, but I thought I will do it again. It is very helpful. This is the discussion part I wanted to take today for you. What happens is, when just few pay a little attention, and you'll understand it. It's a very simple formulas I am going to tell, which are very I was discussing this in our morning Bhagavatam also. This I will share with you. This is very helpful. A few minutes of yours I need to be attentive. What is told is that if you live a proper life in the sense, we have to live according to the principles, rules, uh, then we'll be able to get easily detached. So now when the Shastra is explaining that we at the age of certain age we need to get this detachment, for that we need to have proper attachment also. This is the point I want to tell. To get detachment, we need to have proper attachment. Proper attachment means what? We have to uh, do the things like, the relationship with our people whom we are living with should be very proper. with our family members, with our friends and relatives should be proper. Then only we will be able to have proper relation with Krishna also. Because if we cannot have temporary relationship also, we are not able to maintain properly. How can we have eternal permanent relation with Krishna proper? When we go to spiritual world, we'll have issues with Krishna also. And that is a permanent. So Krishna says, no, first you settle your relationship here proper. We need to develop proper relation here. And so generally what happens, the person with his material desires, he wanted to maintain a status score, hold on to his material attachment, he falls very low. So material attachment that causes a person lose his dignity. And if somebody is attached, he will have to go very humiliating situation in his life, and he loses everything. But if he is able to do it properly, then it will not happen. And how to do it, how to develop good relation? Only two things: respect and sacrifice. If these two things are done, a person can have good relations with anybody in this material world. If I have a desire to enjoy, that means I'm exploiting the person, I'm expectations from the person, then to have good relation is difficult. But if I'm in a mood of service and I'm respecting the person, then it is easy. This is the stories from Mahabharata also. Markandeya Rishi, his father, he worshipped Lord Shiva. Then Lord Shiva appears and he says, I want to have a child. He said, actually, according to your karma, no child, but okay, I can give you, but you have two options. One child, long living, but very sinful, or you'll have a child who will live for only 16 years, but he's very good qualities. Which one you want? He said, okay, child with good qualities, 16 years, good enough. Then Markandeya Rishi is born very good boy. So parents are very attached to him, but whenever they see at him, they start crying, and the child becomes little elder. Then he asks, why you look at me and always cry? He said, your age is only 16. As soon as you turn 16, you're going to die. Then his father says, but you have an option. You start respecting all the elders. And then Markandeya Rishi start bowing down to everybody properly. And then what happens is, one time Saptarishis comes, he offers obeisances to them. They say in India, this is a very famous blessing everybody does. As soon as you offer obeisance, they say Ayushman Bhava, live a long life. And they bless him. And then they look at his face, he's only for remaining few weeks. Then they are surprised, Are we blessed him Ayushman Bhava and he will die in few weeks. Then what? They go to Brahmaji. And as soon as he sees Brahma, he offers obeisances to Brahma. Brahma also says Ayushman Bhava. They said, that is the problem, we came here. You are also blessing Ayushman Bhava, but he has only few weeks to live. Then they says, no, now we are blessed, he will live. So he just achieved just by blessings, just by respect. That's how he achieved such a long life, which is huge, kalpas he can live. Now, what I want to tell is, these relationships we need to develop properly so that we can come out of it properly. It does not happen. Same thing with Agastya also. Agastya, he was he also want to renounce. So, but what happened is, his wife said, no. First, you settle your son. You give sufficient possessions to your son, and then you can live. Then he said, no, how can I get so much? He said, no, first you go to the king and you get some things from our children and then you can live. Then he says, but there are so many envious people at the king. I cannot go there. If anything I do, they will only criticize. He says, no. Because every endeavor will have some difficulty. So there will be difficulties, but still you have to go and get some money for the children. Then he says, okay, he goes to the king was performing some sacrifice. And then he glorifies the king, saying that, oh, you are actually the maintainer, the protector, you are actually taking care of all the citizens. And because of you, all the citizens are very happy and all. So then the people who are envious, other brahmanas of him, they say, This glorification should be for the Supreme Lord. Just to flatter the king, you are making such glorification. Naga says, he quotes from the scriptures. Both of them, they start quoting from the scriptures. King says, what is happening here? Supposed to be Yajna or fighting. That time Sanat Kumar comes. Then say, okay, he is authority, we'll consult him. Then Sanat Kumar says, actually, this is what Agastya is telling is true. If you are not able to respect the living entities properly, how will you able to respect the Supreme Lord? If you are not able to have relationship with the people around you properly, how will you able to have relation with the Supreme Lord? This is the point. When Madhvacharya wanted to find a guru, he started offering obeisances to everybody. Once he was offering obeisances to a snake. He said, "Arey, why are you offering obeisances to a snake?" He says that if I'm envious of any living entities, then I'll not be able to understand who is my spiritual master. I need to give up my envy. It's a very high state, but this is a principle that the respect should be there, and then there should be a proper relation with the people whom we are around. Then only it is possible to get a proper. And so here the attachment will automatically go away. We need not separately do. Just do it in a proper way. If there is a wife and husband, we have to accept their limitations, and we have to accept whatever they are, and try to serve them, develop a proper relation with them. Do your sadhana. One fine day we are out of it. We will be able to achieve something higher. So this is the point. Otherwise, this detachment, like here, what in the what it is explained, this detachment is such a great wealth. It is not so easy to attain. Somebody want detachment. If it's very precious wealth, but there is chance of losing it. That's why it is told that Dhritarashtra, without informing anybody, he left. He thought, if I stay and tell that, he post on the internet, okay, I'm going to take renunciation, then people will say, Arre, you are so sick. How can you do it? You need to eat 6 times a day. How can you just do this? How can you renounce and go? So people will not let you do it. That's why without telling any, it left. Detachment will come internally if you have done it in a proper way. That is the point. And then there is another important thing is uh, here. Uh, this is the foundation is of the Vedic culture is uh, we need to, like what we do in the morning, we start worshipping Guru, Samsara Davanala, and then after doing all morning chanting and all, we again do Guru Puja. So worshipping Guru, worshipping elders is such a important principle. If I want to understand God, then I need to have this respectful attitude. Because if I envy, when my existence takes place against the backdrop of envy that has power over my own heart, then I'll not be able to recognize Guru, I'll not be able to recognize the principle, I'll not be able to recognize God, I'll not be able to see Him. So this is what is. Now a person begins with the principle of uh, conditional morality, which is very often try to part, and because we are all transcendentalists, we say no, this morality does not work. But what happens is, this is actually a fraud. We cannot say on the name of spirituality I'll not follow any standard, because until my heart is cleaned, it will not work. So these principles of varnashrama are helpful. Some of the principles are helpful also in cleaning. So these principles exist in society, and they teach us developing relationship with Krishna. Everything that we have, especially people whom Krishna sends to us, all these people who are in our life are sent to Krishna only, these children and all which are mentioned here, and is necessary for us so that we can learn how to relate to Krishna, and do not need to think that somehow they are sent to spoil our mood. This is actually what happens. We feel, array children, they are spoiling my mood. I come from office. They say, Papa, I want this, Papa, I want that. Sometimes wife spoils the mood, sometimes husband spoils the mood. Or someone is sent to us specifically to develop a spirit of renunciation in this world. Yes, These are very conducive. I am completely detached because of they are giving me so much trouble in my life. Now I am completely detached. This is not actually real detachment. The people whom Krishna sends to us are sent to us so that we can learn to respect them, so that uh, they will be able to develop. Now we see Sanjay, na? He is as soon as Dhritarashtra leaves the palace, he starts crying. You may think, "Arey, master leaves, you enjoy, no, you have freedom." But no, Sanjay, he followed the principles properly. He did not rejoice the freedom. He is actually crying because he behaved properly. When I follow the principles and rules properly, I put my heart into the relationship, and the relationship becomes very strong. These relationship ultimately awaken the rasa in me. It purifies, it gives real emotions. And Sanjaya actually developed dasa rasa. By serving Dhritarashtra, he could develop that relation with Krishna because he understands. So if I can understand or appreciate what it means to be eternal relation with Krishna, and we are all trying to restore our eternal relationship with Krishna, but we cannot even maintain our temporary relation with people who surround us for any long time. Where is the guarantee that we will not quarrel with Krishna? Therefore, uh, Lord is not in hurry. He want to make sure that we have this desire, the ability to build a relationship. And eternal relationship are always built on what? Sacrifice. On the fact that I refuse something for the sake of highest. So when I learn to do this, then I can truly understand, oh, this is my goal. This is the meaning of life. The meaning of life is to finally establish a relationship with absolute truth. For this, we can sacrifice something lower. And Prabhupada also says, for the sake of higher truth, one can sacrifice relative truths. Now, for the sake of highest truth, one must sacrifice. If I am ready to sacrifice relative truth for sake of highest truth, I can betray the I will not betray the higher truth. But I must always understand the goal is that to achieve the highest truth. So if I forget, then my following of lower truth or relative truth will be following over the sake of pratishtha, only just for the namesake. So people are very often very proud that I am righteous, and then they become proud, and Krishna does not like. This is what happens anyway. So few more points. Oh, nobody has any questions till now. Just 2-3 points I'll tell in the direction. And they are attached to something. Krishna learned like attachment. Even people are attached to righteousness. That's actually what happened to Yudhishthira. Yudhishthira was so righteous. He never spoke anything like. Krishna says, "Oh, that's but I don't like it." Krishna says, "Go and tell to your teacher you like him. Go and tell in front of your teacher that you killed Ashwatthama is killed." Why? Because it is his attachment. I am attached to what in this case? I am attached to the image that I have created. What is the image? I am truthful. I am so truthful, I never lied. And then I am attached to the fact that everyone worships me as a truthful person. That everyone respects me very much. What a wonderful thing. And I am attached to that. And for Yudhishthira Maharaj, this is the only one thing. But we may have so many ways of attachments. And Krishna says, no, I don't like this attachment. You need to be attached to me only. And then he comes and tells, okay, Yudhishthira, to go and lie. Now, as soon as Yudhishthira thought to deceive or lie, immediately chariot touched the ground. Before that, his chariot was above the ground only. Because, why? Because he betrayed the absolute truth for the sake of relative truth. He thought, I should be always truthful, and here the absolute truth, Krishna is telling me to lie. As soon as he thought, that a very moment, his chariot fell. And finally, he says Ashwatthama, but elephant is killed. Because it is very difficult for us to give attachments. Krishna only has to help. Then Krishna only gives idea. Okay, okay, tell elephant died. Because Yudhishthir could not tell that Ashwatthama is killed. He said, okay, I'll help you. You tell Ashwatthama is killed and you tell elephant. Now in the middle of the battlefield with some intense things are happening. That is the only thing Yudhishthir has to tell Dronacharya that Ashwatthama elephant is killed. So he says Ashwatthama is killed elephant. That time Krishna blows his conch. So this is actually. Now, that means the path of relationship absolute truth is the path of victims. For the sake of this, in order to, like any other relationship requires sacrifice from us. If I want relationship, I have to give up my attachment. I must be prepared to donate. It means that I have love. For the sake of love, for the sake of relationship with someone, I must ready to sacrifice everything. This is the complex spiritual science. When a person learns gradually, step by step to sacrifice something and something that may be dear to him, and there is a verse in Mahabharata that for the sake of family, one person can be sacrificed. For the sake of village, one family can be sacrificed. For the sake of a country, one village can be sacrificed. And for the sake of soul, everything can be sacrificed. This is the important thing. So for the sake of spirituality. Now, the complexity of spiritual life, it lies that I must be prepared for gradually give up. The more I give, the more I donate, the richer I become. This is the formula. My wealth is what? My wealth is determined by the strength of my connection to the absolute truth. Not by the wealth I am possessing, not by the righteousness I have, not by all the name and fame I have, because these are all going to go. At the end of life, what will come is my wealth, my connection to the absolute truth. And even more so in the material things, that because everything lose, my wealth is how deeply I am committed to absolute truth. The path of spiritual life is a path of sacrificing our false ego, and then person is becoming rich. And this applies to all religions. Every religion has this word of sacrifice. And even one time, Jesus, one boy meets Jesus, and he asks, how can I know the truth? And then the teacher and Jesus says, you respect your mother and father, live at home, follow everything, then everything will be fine. But the boy starts crying. He said, I'm already doing it, but still I have not found the truth. Then Jesus says, okay, good, then you give up everything. If you want to find the truth, distribute all the things you have to the poor, and without looking back, you just come with me. And the boy began to cry and says, I just cannot do it. This is actually what happens. But Krishna does not require everything at once from us. He is gradually taking on his own. So he understands that we are not capable now, but at some point we must be ready to prove our sincerity to find Krishna. We have to one day give up everything to find Krishna, so that we can gradually abandon our attachments to false things step by step and get rid of the false burdens we have in order to finally gain the real wealth. But unfortunately, people are deceiving themselves. The deception lies in the fact that we betray the absolute truth. So we violate even morality. This is anyway. Okay, thank you very much. I have taken an hour. Any question, comments?
Yeah, Prabhuji, thank you so much for the beautiful class. Very grateful to you, Prabhu, always coming on the call and giving your association. We request dear devotees, if you have any questions or realizations, please go ahead.
Yes, we can end. I think nobody has.
Hare-
Thanks.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Wow, it was very, very, very intricate class. I mean, this is, I've been contemplating on these kinds of things, and it was, I think Krishna is answering my prayers by having me come. I was able to at least join this class for, and I need to listen to it again, because it is very, very subtle. Like these elements that you talked about that we need to realize and recognize, they're not very obvious to, and we have to be constantly making sure that we recognize them. It's like sometimes you can recognize, and sometimes because if the frustration or something is too much, it blinds us. So it's it was a very good like, I guess, reinforcing the idea that I've been trying to contemplate, and it's way more than just what I was contemplating. So thank you so much for such a wonderful class. Thank you so much for your association. I'm really grateful. One thing I keep on having this kind of question even when I'm contemplating on this. So when, like, how do we get that? I know you said to get it detached, you need to have a proper attachment. So when we have proper attachment to the Lord, then automatically we have the proper detachment. And sometimes even despite trying so hard of having this kinds of, this attachment, when something goes wrong in our material life with someone, it just, as you said, it's like a science of the mind. It recognizes this is my friend, this is my enemy. And even if you're trying to find that friend in someone who you don't really get along with, it's very hard to continue trying. At a certain point, you can try for like 2-3 times, but then that reciprocation is not happening every time. It automatically comes. There's this some strong, feeling that it just doesn't stay into the level of you want to keep it in a good level, right? So how do we make sure that we forget this enmity or something towards someone, or forget their past behavior with us, even with the new behavior, they're continuously doing the same thing? How do we detach that if we have to continuously live with the person?
In some, like, if it is outsider, I'll give in two parts. Like, if it is an outsider, then you need not be so much bothered. If it is not working with that relation, no need to try. If it is not compulsory that vision, you can just be a respectful distance, not to commit offenses. You can just say Hare Krishna and be. But there are some relations which Krishna sent to you, and he want you to do it properly. And in the family members or relatives, in-laws and all, they are very much compulsory that we need to do it. So in that cases, we have to, first thing is, we have expectations. So this is the first problem which we have ourselves. Like when Krishna says we have lust in our senses, lust in our mind, and lust in our manas and buddhi, the lust in our buddhi causes us to develop these expectations from the persons. And two things happen. One is, we start identifying with the person so much that if anything the person does wrong, we think that I only did wrong. Like if my child is doing wrong, our ego gets so much hurt. How can my child do this thing? And no, he cannot do it like this, because we so much identify, our ego gets hurt. How can he behave without asking me? How can he do without telling me? So our ego is actually what is getting hurt. Even though the instant, if he might have just said something small thing, or he might have purchased something without, husband purchases or wife purchases without, then not that the object is wrong, the thing is wrong. What wrong is, ego is getting hurt. And when our this is the first level, we strongly identify with their mistakes and their success also. If they become successful, we are proud. If they do wrong, we get hurt. So this identification causes a problem. Second thing that causes problem is expectations. We expect that this is the manifestation of lust. When the love initially, when the marriage happens, or child is there, then the relation is very pure. That's why the intense emotion comes, and they are very happy, because they selflessly serve each other. But slowly, because of the manifestation of this lust comes out, and then it comes as expectations. And then the love which was very, very nice, So many flowers are falling from the sky. What happens in one fine day? Then the person says, I never thought you are so selfish. I never expected you are like this. And this word comes from, and then opposite party also says the same thing. I never thought you are so selfish. And then they have a list of the things which they remember. You did this, and everybody gives the list from both sides, proving that and then another word also comes. You change so much. So these are the two things, and same thing with the children. When the children are very small, there is very pure love. But then the children starts growing, the expectations also start growing. Then the relation becomes a little more tough. This is actually the problem. So the problem is because of our own lust. Our lust in our buddhi, our lust in our manas is actually the cause of the problems in our relationship, and the false ego which we wrongly take it. And this is what happens to many relationships. And another problem is, if there is a desire to serve is there initially, but then now what happens, there are expectations from that relationship. That also another problem. Previously we are serving because we want to give, but once you start taking, it becomes exploitation. And then the mood of service is gone. When exploitation comes, then the relationship have problems. But we always have this mood of service, always be respectful, all relations are always good. So these two principles, anytime there is a problem in relation, work on respect, work on desire to serve.
Respect.
This is all theory only for me. I'm not
Yeah.
I'm not in family.
No,
so
I would like to, I have a really personal question. So can I get your email address or some kind of contact information?
yeah, this is Radha Pramod
It's
Das
really
at Gmail.
Radha Pramod Das
at Gmail.
at Gmail. Okay. RADHAPRAMODDAS at Gmail.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now,
Okay.
this is all theory
Name you
because
saw
I'm
on
not in
his Zoom,
family.
Mataji, at the rate of Gmail.
Haribol?
No, I was saying the name you are seeing on the Zoom and at the rate of gmail.com. That's it.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So
It's
the
very
point is,
helpful.
I am not in family, so I have all theory only. Whatever I'm speaking, I'm just speaking the principles.
No, but it's very profound. It's I've been contemplating on this, Prabhuji. I live in a joint family, so it's really, sometimes it gets really tough, and I am trying really hard, and I try to take that as Krishna's arrangement, and it's still hard. So I think continuously repeating this message in my heart will definitely help, because when I hear it like soothes my mind. So I just need to, I think, Krishna is trying to arrange everything for me. And so thank you so much. I love the lecture today. So thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
I'm happy, I'm grateful that it helped you. Somebody's getting.
Thank you.
Thanks. Gail Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Yeah, I would just like to follow up on your answer to Mega Mataji's question. So supposing you're dealing with people, close people, close or distant, whichever, and they have, you said that, after some time we develop this list of our issues with the people, right? They are, they have this bad quality, they have that bad quality, whatever. So, I mean, can't it be that they actually have these disturbing qualities? Does it necessarily have to be because of our own lust that we are having issues with the people?
Yeah, that is true. But the important point is that when we say the people that I am speaking truth only about this person, because he has this bad quality, he is like this, he is like this, but still we are wrong, because it's not absolute truth, it is relative truth. If I say this person is weak, this person is selfish, this person is this, is it absolute truth about that person?
Yes.
No, it is relative truth because the soul is actually pure. Only for some part of his life at this particular junction, he is behaving like that because of the conditionings. It is relative, na? The body is not permanent. The body is a temporary thing that is given to the soul. So this is what is to be understood. We are
Oh,
not.
so you mean relative in that sense that they are they are actually a pure soul, but they are identifying with their conditioning.
Now when you say about a person, we are only talking relative truth about him. That means we are not talking absolute truth. That means it is false only, whatever we are talking about that person. So we need not take it so seriously.
Yeah, I when I say that the person has these qualities, that qualities, I am referring to their conditioning.
So why we need to take conditioning serious?
Because we have to live with them, and they're acting according to that conditioning.
Now by telling it, how does it benefit them? How does it benefit us?
I think
I'm not
Mataji,
saying that it would benefit or not benefit. It's just an objective fact that this person, let's say they are behaving, I don't know, in some kind of callous way towards an insensitive way, right? That's an objective fact, right?
Yeah.
It's not the soul, it's the conditioning, but it's a behavior that is creating disturbance among those who
Now
are
there is two things. If we are in a major, say I have my center, and one of the boy, like he came to the center and his behavior is troubling others. Then I personally called that boy. I sat with him. I told, I appreciate your sincerity to come to Krishna. I appreciate your practice. I very much like you. But because of this behavior, there is some inconvenience caused to the other students who are staying at the center. So I recommend to you that you directly come to temple and you come and meet me in the temple and you can have darshan here. Instead of coming to center, you come to the temple and you don't stay in the center because these are the standards they are following and they want this to be followed. Now what I did, I separated the person from his problems and I encouraged him to practice his Krishna conscious from wherever he is. This is how we need to help. Instead of just finding the fault, we need to help a living entity if we are in a position. If we are not in a position, say he is my equal and I cannot tell him, then what I had to do, I should create a situation in such a way that I don't get disturbed from him. Like that. So either help him or get aloof from him so that you don't get disturbed. Or in some cases, we are in a situation where we cannot avoid the place. Then what we have to do? We have to learn that this is what is Krishna is sending to me to get purified. Maybe I need to become more mature in this situation. If I am getting disturbed, the problem is whose? That is my weakness. Say you are behaving in a particular way. If I am getting disturbed, it's not your fault because you are doing according to your swabhava. Because I am weak, I am getting disturbed. That is the point. I need to become stronger so that I will not get affected by whatever is happening around. You are able to. It's a big discussion, but I'm just making very short answer.
Big discussion or tall order, because some behaviors which are universally accepted as unacceptable, to say that, well, it is due to our weakness. Where, I on one in one.
We are not justifying that. We are not justifying their behavior, Mataji. We are trying to separate his behavior from him.
Yeah. And that's always the challenge, to not identify the person's activity with the person himself, to recognize that the activity is simply their swabhava only, right? Not the soul. Yeah. That is the big challenge, especially if the behavior is egregious, isn't it?
Yeah. But that is what Krishna wants us to do. That's why he's telling, don't offend. He's telling, don't commit Vaishnava Aparadh. He may be a little Vaishnava, he may be having that faith on Krishna, but his behavior is very strongly wrong. We have to accept him as a Vaishnava.
Mhm. Yeah.
This is what Krishna's expectations from us.
Mm.
Yudhishthir Maharaj is able to see good in Dhritarashtra. Sanjay is able to see good in Dhritarashtra. So that means what? The Yudhishthir Maharaj, one of the quality of a Vaishnava is, Ajasha Shatravaha, Shantaha, Sadhavaha, Sadhubhushana. Ajata Shatra means for him, enemy is not born only. That means he does not consider anybody who is offending him. He don't get offended only. That is one of the qualities.
And the reason why they're able to do that is because they are always able to make the distinction between the soul and their conditioned nature, right? That's how they're able to do it. Yeah, like I said, it can be a tall order when the behavior is very offensive,
If they are offensive, Mataji, we have to see, we should not be victims. If somebody is exploiting us, we should protect ourselves. Don't get exploited. But if say somebody is coming and sitting and is troubling me so much, I should not say, oh, Vaishnava. No, I'll get exploited. I'll waste my time. I should politely tell him, Prabhuji, I very much appreciate. I'm reading. You also take one book. You also read. I should not become a victim. That is wrong. If somebody, we should not become victims in the name of humility or tolerance. We should be shrewd, but we should be respectful also.
Yeah, and just to clarify one more time, when you said, is that person's behavior the absolute truth, what you meant was that is that the essence of who that person is? That's what you meant.
We should not propagate. We should not put on internet, Facebook, and about anybody, because if we are speaking, then we are going against the absolute truth. Personally, we may know it, and if we are really getting affected, we can talk to their authority, our authority, or very close people whom we are connected, which is helping us by sharing our problems about him, is helping us, then only we should do it. Otherwise, about negativity about anybody is against absolute truth. We should not share about anybody.
No, I don't know if you understood my question. I was asking, when you asked me in the beginning, right, if the person's negative quality is the absolute truth, what you were asking me was, is that negative quality the person himself?
Yeah.
Absolute sense in that sense, right?
Yeah.
I think what absolute means is is this how everyone views this person as? And is it constant? So, if sometimes it's like this and sometimes it's not, or if everyone is feeling the same way as we are, meaning the whole world, which is probably not going to be possible and true, right? So this is why we live in this relativity. It's all our perceptions and our feelings and our karmas with the opposite party, which is making us feel this way. So this is why it's relative and not absolute.
In that way also, that is relative, and it is not also the soul's properties, because that is for the temporary body.
Right.
For this lifetime only, he'll be like that. He may be different so in both ways, whatever you said and whatever Gil Mataji also is telling the same thing, because it's a conditioned nature, but it's not a absolute truth.
Not at all. Yeah. Thank you.
Nice.
Wonderful.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Hare
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Please accept my humble obeisances. Prabhu, it was very enlightening class. Really liked all the points that you mentioned. I have this extended question of Gail Mataji and Megha Mataji. So how our consciousness at that time when we are in a discussion will get recollected that that person is a soul, and this is only because of that particular situation that person is reacting like that? How we can bring that into our mind, Prabhu, before we talk to them anything rash or anything wrong?
This Mataji will not happen when you are doing that. This you should do homework before only. You are going to exam, you cannot prepare in exam. You have to prepare before going for exam. Now I know if I go to this meeting or if I meet this person, I am going to get affected by that situation or that thing. What should I do? Before only I need to have my preparation. I need to be a little more sobered. I need to do my sadhana properly. I need to slowly, when I again go to the same situation, I'll not be the same person. Say 1 year back, you had certain relation with some devotees. After 1 year, again you are going, it should not be the same way. It should be much more mature and deeper. That is what our sadhana helps us. You are hearing and reading. This is where it will work. Will help you become more deeper and mature. And then your relationship with the person and your activities also will be the same way. It is a homework is our sadhana. How much sincerely we are reading Bhagavatam, trying to understand it logically. And along with that, we are doing our chanting very sincerely, attentively and trying to hear. That will help you to deal in all situations mainly because dadami buddhiyotam, then Krishna gives the intelligence what is needed for us. It's like that one. Not that situation. You have to do the homework before. That's
And
it.
one more thing, yes, Prabhuji, totally understand this. And one more thing, like you mentioned, like various sacrifices, right, Prabhuji, for soul, we need to sacrifice everything. So can you please mention that point again, like what you told? I just missed that part.
For the soul, Mataji?
Yeah, means for, like you were mentioning something like for soul, like to attain a higher perspective or something. For the soul to attain a higher perspective, we need to sacrifice everything. Like you were mentioning about various
I will again
sacrifices.
tell, maybe
Yeah,
some of the things I'll repeat.
yeah,
So what I was telling, that I was giving the example of Sanjay. If you follow the principles and rules properly, if I put my heart in the relationships and the relationship becomes very strong, this relationship will awaken our rasa. And then that rasa, then I can understand and appreciate what it means to be in eternal relationship with Krishna. We are all having to restore our eternal relationship with Krishna, and we cannot, we should maintain this relationship. This is one thing. And second thing is, eternal relationships are always built on sacrifice. If I refuse something for the sake of higher, and when I learn to do this, then I can truly understand, oh, this is my goal. This is the meaning of life. This is my life is finally to establish a relationship with Absolute. For this, we can sacrifice something lower. So, for the sake of higher truth, one should sacrifice the relative truths. This will happen when we do things very properly. And if I am not ready to sacrifice these relative truths for the sake of higher, then I am betraying myself. So this is the point I was telling. So first I should affirm myself in the relative truths, but I must always understand that the goal of this is to achieve the highest truth. That means in this relative truths also I should do it properly, always understanding that I need to get Krishna. I should not forget. If I forget about it, then my following the lower truths, relative truths will not have much effect. Then we will be caught up here. So this is what I was discussing, and there should be sacrifice also to develop these relationships properly.
yeah, yes, Prabhu. Yeah, got it. Thank you, Prabhu. It was really very enlightening class. Thank you. Haribol.
Thank you all very much. Will end here.
Thank you so much, Prabhu, for such a nice, enlightening class. And thanks for the interesting discussion as well. Thank you, dear devotees. Thank you all so much for joining us. And once again, thank you, Prabhu. We can end the call here. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha patitam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnavrinda
Navrinda ki jai.
Pad ki
Jai.
jai. Anantakoti Vaishnavrinda ki
Ki
jai.
jai.
His Grace Radha Pramod Prabhu ki jai.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Prabhuji.
Thank
you
you so
all.
much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. We'll be
Hare
ending.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.